Prismatic Evolutions is changing the hobby. However, what does this mean for the future prices of singles? Now, before I actually answer that, I'm thrilled to be celebrating this Eeveelutions season by gifting one subscriber this Glaceon V-Star from Crown Zenith. Now, to be selected, all you need to do is head to my official Discord server and submit your entry on the giveaway channel. You'll see that the giveaway bot is currently live and the winner will be announced in 7 days. However, before you actually head to the server, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss future updates and videos. Plus, joining the server actually connects you with an amazing community of passionate Pokemon collectors. I'd honestly love to see you there. The invite link is in the description. Now, Prismatic Evolutions is changing Pokemon in a lot of ways. And I think one of the key areas is how people perceive Pokemon cards as investments, which I'm going to explain a little bit more about in just a second. Though we are having issues with supply at the moment, and it already seems pre-orders for Prismatic Evolutions are being exhausted. I mean, the fact that everything's selling out would make sense if it was for like Pokemon Center products. I mean, that's understandable, right? But the fact that regular ETBs are being purchased right away, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this within the Pokemon community, and this kind of demand is unparalleled. Even with Pokemon 151, as hyped as it was, you could still get the set on release day. Sure, there were like pockets of items that were sold out, like maybe you couldn't get booster bundles, but you wouldn't have had that much problem securing the set. With Prismatic Evolutions, it's seeming that you won't even be able to get the set on release day. However, one area we need to drill down on is the investment side of Pokemon cards. I feel Pokemon is transitioning into a more serious collectible investment form, and this is just because of the years of constant hype along with the prices maintaining over a long period of time. Now, I am very aware that a lot of newcomers are entering the hobby, so if you don't know what happened was during the COVID boom, everyone started collecting Pokemon cards again, and then they were like this big hot thing. Though there has been a pretty significant shift, it doesn't seem Pokemon cards are slowing down. In fact, it seems that the popularity is just compounding, and we are seeing an even bigger demand for cards, along with previous cards being even more expensive and reaching new heights. Though these single prices from Prismatic Evolutions are something that we need to talk about, because how high can some of these go? Whether or not it's gonna exceed Evolving Skies levels, like if you don't know about Evolving Skies, it was a very, very popular Pokemon set that released in 2021, and it was one of the most famous modern Pokemon sets. Now, you do have the famous Umbreon Chase card, which is from Evolving Skies, and we do have this new kind of Sunbreon Chase card from Prismatic Evolutions. It's kind of, everyone's calling it Sunbreon at the moment, right? So you've got Moonbreon, which already kind of set the standard for how high prices can go for Pokemon cards. But now I've even got a feeling that this Sunbreon card could potentially even overtake Moonbreon. The only reason for that is because I do feel a lot of people are now going to be using their previous knowledge of Moonbreon and just applying it to the new Umbreon that's coming out. Everyone's just going to say, if Umbreon from Evolving Skies could go like that, well, this Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions can do the same thing. But here's the issue. We don't know pull rate data. We don't know how in demand it's going to be. We don't know how many print runs there are going to be. We don't know anything, but I've just got this intuition that this Umbreon could even exceed Evolving Skies. One area that we really need to focus and drill down on in Prismatic Evolutions is how are the pull rates going to be? Are they going to do something like Crown Zenith where it's super easy to pull the chase cards? It feels like a little bit of a celebration of a set. It's a warm welcome. Or are they going to do something like Twilight Masquerade or Surging Sparks and continue this difficult pull rate trend? Are they going to make the special illustration rares super hard? Because I can already tell you, right? If you have pull rates like Surging Sparks for these Eeveelution cards, which I doubt, I highly doubt it because there's so many Eeveelutions. I don't think that they'll be that difficult. But if the pull rates are on that level, man, we're going to be seeing prices that we haven't seen in this game before. Reason being is because Eeveelution cards are gold standard for collectors. They are so in demand. And what Eeveelution cards do, which you have to take into consideration if you are collecting Pokemon cards, is that they are not niche Pokemon where they have small pockets of fans. Eeveelution spread across everywhere. Everyone loves each individual, right? So the fact that you've got every single one featured, this is going to cause a lot of demand. Now, don't forget that Evolving Skies didn't actually even include every Eeveelution. You didn't have Flareon, you didn't have Vaporeon, you didn't have Jolteon, right? And also, it didn't even have Eevee in there as a V or a V Max card, right? The fact that Prismatic Evolutions contains every single one also makes it far more desirable, and I think we are now about to see a shift with how high prices can go. And just looking at some of these cards, I was just speaking about it, but the Umbreon card, definitely, I am feeling that this is the top chase card at the moment. We won't know till the set releases. The market can change, people can make their own decisions, but right now when I'm looking at this, I definitely think the Umbreon is the top chase card. I think that's a fair point to say. The reason why I think that as well is because a lot of people are just going to be drawing from Moonbreon, and they're going to be just applying that same rationale to this, and it's just going to be very hard for this not to be the top chase card. I will be very surprised if something overtakes this, but given the fact that the artwork is so amazing, I do think that this is going to be a very, very desired card within the set. You've also got the Sylveon, which is looking really cool, really unique. Sylveon VMAX from Evolving Skies performed well. I see no reason why this one wouldn't either, especially given how unique the artwork is. Though in saying that, I do think we're also going to be seeing some new shifts. Don't forget, the Scarlet and Violet era has had some interesting things happen. For example, when Temporal Force is released, we had Iron Crown be one of the top chase cards of an era. That's really rare, right? That's a really obscure Pokemon to get so much popularity. Now it's kind of shifted away and it's not that popular as it was, but still it did have a little bit of a time period where it was a very desired chase card. Also, don't forget, within the Scarlet and Violet era, we've also had a Magikarp be a top chase card. This is really interesting, the fact that how the community is changing. So I will be interested to see if some other Eeveelution cards will be able to take the top spotlight. But what's even more of a question is, what about these other special illustration rares in the set? I think a lot of people are just going to be annoyed if they pull an SIR that's not an Eeveelution, which is kind of disappointing. And I do wonder what the price of some of those other SIRs within this set are going to be. I mean, moving forward, even this Jolteon, it is interesting. It's got a really cool artwork. I do think as well we're going to see some prices. We actually haven't seen a Jolteon chase card, the price it can get. Same with Vaporeon and same with Flareon, because they were released during the Sword and Shield era in those special VMAX collection boxes. So we haven't actually seen them in kind of a mainline set as a chase card. So I'm going to be really excited to see what Jolteon can get, what Flareon can get, and what Vaporeon can get. Mind you, when I'm looking at the Vaporeon artwork, I got to say, it looks amazing, man. There's actually been something interesting that I've noticed with these cards, okay? I'm seeing some sort of inspiration being drawn from games. This Vaporeon reminds me of Kingdom Hearts. I don't know if you guys have played Kingdom Hearts, but the first Kingdom Hearts game, when you're in that kind of the starting area where Sora wakes up, this is reminding me so much of that, man. And I mentioned that in the previous video, but the Umbreon is reminding me of Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I'm not saying that they're getting some inspiration from other video games, but I have to admit, for some reason, that does remind me so much of Kingdom Hearts, especially with the gems. And again, the Umbreon does really remind me of Majora's Mask. You never know where artists get their inspiration from, but nonetheless, I do think this Vaporeon is really awesome. Same thing again, we can see with the Flareon that's coming up. These three are going to be interesting, man. I'm telling you, one thing to look out for is the Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon. I think that we're going to really see some expensive prices for them, mainly because they haven't had any kind of opportunity to be in mainline sets as chase cards. So this is kind of their introduction, right? I'm talking about modern Pokemon cards, right? And of course, don't forget, you've also got the Eevee SIR, which is again going to be very much in demand. We saw how well the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade performed. That was an illustration rare. I do think the SIR will be interesting as well. So even with this Eevee, I do prefer the Twilight Masquerade Eevee, just because I think it's a bit more of an engaging artwork. I think it's a bit more interesting with how you have multiple Eevees, but then don't forget, that's an illustration rare. This one is a special illustration rare. And don't forget, in the ETBs, you do get that Eevee promo as well. And of course, that Pokemon Center Eevee stamped promo is going to be something really, really in demand as well. A lot of collectors are already saying that's going to be one of the most expensive cards from this set. Now, I don't want to just be focused on prices for these cards, though, because we're in such a high demand period, and because we have the kind of examples of what happened with Evolving Skies, I think collectors are just going to follow that trend. I really think it's going to be hard to not make these cards be super expensive unless the pull rates are really watered down, like something like Crown Zenith. If they have easy pull rates, it will help the prices maintain and not be as expensive. But then again, with how the Scarlet and Violet era is going, I really don't see them being too gifted to you either. Don't forget, we also have have the Master Ball Reverse Holos for Prismatic Evolutions that are going to be within this set. So this set is just so collectible by design. Pokemon knew what they were doing when they made this. Mind you, they give you every Eevee as an SIR, and now on top of that, you also have Master Ball Reverse Holos in this set. This is the reason why this set is in so much demand. As excited as I am for Prismatic Evolutions, I'm also hoping that they really do print it to demand. With pre-orders already being so hard to find, and we've still got a while until the set releases, you know, this is a really weird time to be within the hobby. And of course, with Pokemon TCG Pocket going the way it is, so many new fans are entering, so many new people are coming into the hobby, and it's going to really bring up questions of how easy is the stock going to get on release, because I did mention it in a previous video, right? But if you cannot already get the stock on release, if you're already struggling on release day to get the product, can Prismatic Evolutions overtake Evolving Skies? Because when Evolving Skies released, you were able to get the product on release. It took a little bit of time until it started getting harder and harder to find. You know, when we looked at Surging Sparks, that was quite hard to get already on release day, and I'm feeling Prismatic Evolutions is going to follow in those footsteps. So, you know, it does bring up these questions. Will Prismatic Evolutions be more in demand than Evolving Skies? Will it over the long term overtake Evolving Skies? You know, particularly if you cannot get product on release. I think that's a question we all really need to ask ourselves at the moment. Look, truth be told, I think Prismatic Evolutions will have a lot of demand, and I'm unsure if Pokemon can even keep up with printing demands. Though it really does make you wonder, what has caused this new Pokemon frenzy to begin? Well, I actually explain that in detail within this video right here. If you're interested to see why the market is growing the way it is, I cover that in this video on screen right here. Click that video that's appearing on screen and I'll see you there.